Hey guys, what is going on? This is iAppleGeek. This is the iPhone XR. Now let me just say first off, there's a lot of controversy around this device for being too expensive for a budget iPhone. But today I want to really look at what are some of the things it offers, what are some of its shortcomings, and really break it down if you're trying to buy this device. Okay, before we get started, let's just take a few seconds to admire this awesome bright red. Slap a case like this on it and man, you got a Spiderman iPhone. This one in particular is by Rinky. No, this video is not sponsored, I just really like their stuff. Man, this takes me back, it's like my childhood in two colors. So the first thing you're going to notice when you pick up one of these is the new size. This is a different new size. We have never seen a size like this on an iPhone. This is right in between the XS and the XS Max. But in terms of the older iPhones, it's definitely more of a plus-sized iPhone than the smaller one. Just take note, there's probably going to be a slightly bigger bulge in your pants as well as it being more bulky if you slap a case on it. So if you're upgrading from a smaller iPhone, definitely keep that in mind. Okay, so some of the pros of the bigger size. First of all, a bigger size means a bigger battery, bigger display, means more enjoyment over a longer period of time. In fact, this iPhone has the best battery life out of all the iPhones ever. It's because it has an LCD display, not OLED, it has to push fewer pixels, therefore it actually lasts longer than the iPhone XS Max. So if you're looking for the most amount of battery you can get out of an iPhone, this is the one to go for. Okay, so some of the cons of the bigger size. Common first impressions are that it's thick and it's heavy, but because the back is made of glass, you're going to feel that it's going to be heavier than the aluminum designs that you might be coming from. Okay, next up, let's talk about the camera. First of all, it's absolutely incredible, okay? You can get amazing shots that weren't possible on the previous iPhones, including the iPhone X. The back lens here is basically the same wide-angle lens as the iPhone XS. So you're getting all the new improvements from that phone. So like the iPhone X will take pretty great pictures, I mean it's not bad, but then the iPhone XR just blows it out of the water. Okay, so another image here from the iPhone X, and now the XR, and now back to the X again. You can't unsee it. Okay, so the iPhone X is on your left and the iPhone XR is on your right. Even with the front-facing camera, across the board the cameras are way better. Now the only thing you're giving up with the lack of that second lens is portrait mode for objects. You can only take portrait modes of people, so you can't use it on your dog or your pumpkin spice latte. But when you do take a portrait shot, it's not cropped in, and of course you get that ability to adjust the blur after you take the picture, just like on the XS. Honestly, not having a full portrait mode is not really a big deal to me. I don't use it that often, and I think the better picture quality really makes up for that lack of the second camera. There's no optical zoom either, but again, better picture quality kind of offsets that. Okay, let's talk about some general usability. I've had this thing for a few days, I've been playing around with it. One of my gripes with the iPhone X last year was that it had that powerful chipset, but it seemed like it wasn't carrying over in software. Well, this year it does. This new chip plus the smoothness of iOS 12 equals one giant slab of butter, and I'm not exaggerating. In other words, don't worry about this thing slowing down. Now the SIM card slot on the side has been moved, of course, to accompany that dual SIM functionality, but this SIM tray actually works a little bit differently than what we've seen in the other iPhones. The SIM card no longer can pop in like straight up off the top. You actually flip it over and the chip is facing up, which is pretty interesting. And later on, if you have a supported carrier, you're not going to have a SIM card at all because it's going to be built right into the phone, which allows for a second network account using a physical SIM card, which is pretty nice. Now, if you're down to nitpick, the only con I could think of usability wise is that this phone is only like 10, maybe 15% faster than the last one, but honestly, I don't think there's really an argument here. Okay, so the big one, the display. Is it good? Is it bad? Is it really fuzzy? Let's break it down. So the display resolution is 1792 by 828 with a pixel density of 326 pixels per inch. Okay, so yeah, that is technically below 1080p standards, but before you go smashing your keyboard in the comments, hear me out. Alright, so do I think Apple could have done a better job with the display resolution? Of course, they could have put in the higher resolution of the iPhone 8 Plus into this size of a screen. If you're coming from an older iPhone, or even a device with a higher resolution, the only real difference, like in real life difference that you'll notice, is lower quality in text, and that's about it. If you look at big, bold text letters, the edges will seem a little bit smoother, and that is literally it. You cannot tell anything else apart. Oh, but can you watch 1080p video on it? Yeah, just like you can on all the other iPhones. Oh, but I bet the display is really bad when you're watching, you know, it's blurry and all that. But the differences here are honestly really hard to spot. Even after a year with using my iPhone 10, I have to look really close to spot any sort of difference between these two displays. Now, since this is an LCD panel and not an OLED panel, you will also get the advantages of having an LCD. It's not as prone to water damage, there's no color shifting or risk of burning out the display, and if you have sensitive eyes, this is going to be much easier on your eyes, especially at low brightnesses. More info down below. But no matter which demographic you're in, I think we can all agree that the iPad displays and the MacBook Pro displays all look pretty awesome. Yet both these devices have a lower pixel count than the new iPhone XR. The iPad Pros come in at 264 pixels per inch, and the MacBook Pros come in at 224. So because there are so many other factors that goes in to the quality of a display, the argument of pixel count equals screen quality just got thrown out the window. Now, another big con of the display, there is no 3D touch, okay? I did mention this in my iPhone SE review a long time ago. I'm using this phone for about 2 months now, and I really don't miss 3D touch. But that was 2 years ago, okay? And since then, I've started using 3D touch on my phone a lot to peek and pop on Instagram and to get other shortcuts. You can no longer do that on the iPhone XR. So if you've been using 3D touch, you're not gonna get that anymore. If you don't use 3D touch, you don't even know what it is, then this phone is gonna work just fine for you. To wrap up, the iPhone XR is what it is. It's a cheaper version of the $1,000 iPhone X with the new features from the iPhone XS. So is this phone worth buying? In my opinion, yeah, it kind of is. The XR offers the same level of future-proofability, in other words value over time, as the iPhone XS, which costs almost $300 more. You may not get gigabit LTE, but at least you won't get dropped Wi-Fi. What do you think about this device? Let me know in the comments. Don't forget to hit that iPhone XR colored subscribe button, say hi to my dog Sugar, and until our next communion, peace.